She mind-controlled her friends. How could she? She can match Twilight in magic. She shouldn't be able. She's a terrible character.
Objection! Of course. Fiducia Combalis needs a trigger. Ponies, hear my voice and listen!
I know that we are long past season 6 finale, and those who disliked Starlight Glimmer are in minority now, and I know that this episode here was pretty much a build-up for the finale, but I still feel like I need to defend her a little bit in this episode, even though I liked her back then, and now she's my favorite character, and I admit that she messed up a little bit. Shocker, huh? A guy who likes Starlight Glimmer and is about to defend her also admit that she did messed up. Well, instead of explaining myself, let me bring back an old saying. If you won't fall, you won't learn. And falling is pretty much her learning curve. And why shouldn't? After all, people were complaining about her rushed redemption, and if she would smoothly pass every friendship lesson, not only she would receive even more hate, but she would also be a boring character. Instead, we have more character development for Starlight Glimmer, showing how much she is attached to her magic and magical solutions. We now clearly see how much different she is from Sunset Shimmer, or even Twilight Sparkle, because Twilight have a very strong bond with magic too, but most of the time she was using it as a last resort. Starlight treats magic as a solution for every little problem she encounters. So yeah, that's a good development. However, it's not great development, simply because we've already know that ever since No Second Princess. Pretty much the entire first act was all about it, which is why this development in this episode is actually slightly less great, but still good. But this is not the main problem with this episode. The main issues people have was the second act and the whole mind control spell being cast on Mene 5 by Starlight, the morality, psychological aspect, yada yada yada. Where should I start? Did she mess up? Of course she did. Should Starlight cast this spell on her friends? Of course she shouldn't. Do I judge her as much as others? No. Furthermore, I actually think she's not as much sociopathic as many think. I can even justify her actions. I probably would not accept mind-controlling friends in order to do a friendship lessons. However, that might be not her intention. If you think about it, the spell alone didn't have anything to do with mind control, rather they were more of a motivations or suggestion spell. Alone, those spells were more of a light hypnosis, which is not the same as mind control, but when she combined them, it resulted in more powerful version of this. So if you think about it, what happened wasn't quite the mind control, but rather a very powerful and deep hypnosis. Cartoons usually exaggerate its effect by showing it as a total control over subject, while in reality, they would never do anything against their will while being hypnotized. Another hint that this is a hypnosis is the fact that the spell needed a trigger to start working. Without it, the main five were just standing there. Still, I think Starlight pretty much had no idea that she had more control over their action than she thought. But even I have to say that she was a bit too oblivious to the fact of how strong that spell was, or to the fact that the main five were taking her words way too literally. And she was like that pretty much the whole time, realizing how much she was missing the point after Twilight showed her that fact and gave her a reality check, what all those lessons were really about. Or does she? People judge Starlight regarding her past actions and motives, but maybe we should look on this problem more deeply. If you think about it, no matter what, Starlight was hurt by friendship. Pretty much she felt betrayed by her only friend who left her. Add the fact that she was just a child, and for me, her past and present actions actually make sense. I've experienced such cases when people had their friends but later were betrayed by them, sometimes quite literally. Okay, not quite the same, but still, people whose friendship was betrayed as a child react differently. Even if they try to get a new friend, their fear based on past experience is still strong. The result is that they are also trying to make sure that the past would not repeat itself. Sometimes they might not even realize that fact, because of how deep that fear is rooted inside them. It's natural to be afraid of water if you almost drowned as a child. Starlight is a character that was abandoned by her only friend, and while you can argue that she could write a letter, it doesn't change the fact that it hurt her deeply. That fear of being abandoned was so strong that she first blamed the very reason why Sunburst left her behind, which resulted in deep belief that cutie marks are evil. When she realized this was wrong, she is really trying to learn about friendship, but now it's not just the childhood experience but also an adult experience. She wants to be a better pony, but again, you can't just unroot the deep fear like this one. In my opinion, she did what she did simply because she's terrified by the very thought that if she fails, every pony, including Twilight, will abandon her again. That is the reason why she's trying to use everything she's good at, not realizing that it might bring the opposite result. All because that fear is overshadowing all her past experiences and good memories. Strong feeling during our childhood shape our future selves, just like strong feeling of abandonment and betrayal shape Starlight's future self. So yes, her actions were wrong, but I can justify and emphasize with her simply because I've seen people like her and I can understand what's in her mind this whole time. Seeing how much Sunburst getting his cutie mark was traumatic to her childhood, I can only feel sorry for her. Besides, people are jumping on her in this episode for the whole not quite mind control, while also forgetting that Twilight not only did exactly the same 4 seasons ago, but she also messed up the whole town instead of 5 ponies and pretty much had no way to reverse that spell, and yet Celestia didn't punish Twilight for that. Not at all. This time Starlight at least had to apologize and clean up the mess she caused. However, there's also another complaining about this episode, and that is the fact that Starlight could match Twilight with magic. I can actually explain that, but either I will have to make this video twice as long as normal, or ask you to wait some time for me to release a supplement video, in which I can explain that topic deeply. Right now I can only say that it may or may not be considered a headcanon, and I can tell you now that I think it's not quite Starlight who is super powerful, but rather it's Twilight who became weaker after becoming an Alucard. The only other explanations is the boredom and the lack of training, because of which Twilight's skills became a bit rusty. And speaking of Twilight, between this episode and No Second Princess, I think she was a much better character here than she was back there. Still not perfect, but this time she actually shown that she can be a good mentor who cares about her pupil while still giving her some room to make mistakes and watching her from distance instead of interfering into their friendship lesson. But still, this time she maybe gave her a bit too much freedom. Not only that, but shouldn't she somehow supervise her a bit more instead of just realizing that Starlight haven't tackled any friendship lessons between here and meeting with Trixie? Yeah, I really went into some serious area and some deep analysis of the character based on my own experiences. But what can I do? Starlight deserves some more defense in this episode. After all, there is always an explanation for someone's actions, and as someone who have seen the example of people whose friendship was betrayed painfully, I fully understand her thought process. That's not to say this episode was only serious, because it had a really funny moments with the main 5 taking what Starlight said quite literally when under the spell, or the magic hangover. The famous quotes and references provided by Applejack is also something really cool. The best part, however, is the development for Starlight, showing how much she's relying on her magic and why she was absent most of the season. Twilight also got some improvement ever since No Second Princess, and seeing her pupil making the same mistakes as she did long time ago was also a good lesson for Twilight too. And thanks to that episode, Starlight's internal conflict in season finale was much more believable in my opinion. And I still think this is a very good episode. In fact, it's one of my favorites of this season. I still respect people who think otherwise, however, in my opinion, they might be overreacting a bit. But that's just my opinion. I'm Shapwit, and this could be a good topic for Dr. Wolf. Thanks for watching.